Welcome back. Let's continue on. So we're trying to make the model, realistic. At the moment, what did we do? We just basically threw a record into the model that consists of byline, image, URL, title, etc. Thinking this through, the actual model will probably have a main section that consists of this, and then another section for the nav buttons, and so that'll be an array of nav buttons. And then finally a section of data for each of the portfolios. So I think I'd like to model that in the model. So let's go over to the model. And so we're going to kind of transform what we've done so far. At the moment, we could describe the model as follows. We could say, well, first of all, we should maybe add a type declaration for the model itself. If we just hover over here, we can see, look at that. We are missing the type declaration, but it's telling us that it's a record that's got a username logo, which is a string, a username, which is a string, etc., etc. So yeah, we can make sense of that. But the nice thing is it also tells us the last little bit, which is given that model, what does it return? HTML message. So add lowercase m on message because it's actually untyped. Yeah, there's a word for that. Anyways, so here's what I'd like to do. I'm going to try to type the model. So first of all, let's say this. View is a function that takes a model and returns HTML, if I could type, HTML MSG. Cool. Now we need to tell it what the model actually is. Well, at the moment, the model is this. Let's do, I think I'll do a type alias. So I'll say type alias, and we'll say model. So what is model? Well, it's equal to a record. And it's a record that has got the following things. It's got, we can steal this actually. It's got these things here. Oh, come on. It's got these things here. Nice. Okay, and I'll just undent and redent. Then I'll say, well, byline, well, that's a string. Because, models, well, the type alias is all about what the types are. It's not about the data. And image URL, that's also a string. And title, that's also a string. That's a string. And this is a string. Nice. Okay, so literally, let's see. Oh, and indentation here. I think we need to say that. Yes. Okay. Right, so we've defined what a model is, and we've said, hey, a view takes a model and returns HTML message. And now we've said what the model currently is. So one of the reasons why I went through this exercise is because I want to change the model, and it's a little easier to think through this, at least for me, if I can actually see it. So for me, this looks more like the main section. And another thing is that initially, when we get this, we won't have fetched the value yet. So I want this to be, I'm thinking the main section, you may have it, you may not. So that's something we can model. Let's do this. I'm going to take this, and I'm going to say, let's call this the main model. Sure, why not? Main model is that, right? I'm going to go in here and I'm going to say that model is now a record that's got a main section. And what is that main section? Well, it's maybe a main model. Cool. Actually, that's kind of what I thought should happen too. Actually, the IntelliSense here, the integration between this and Elm is actually pretty darn good. So we can see here all of a sudden our references to model are no good. And why are they no good? Well, it's because it's not a main model, it's a maybe main model. Also, we're not dereferencing main yet. Okay, this is all very fixable. I hope you follow. The idea is model at the moment. We've only modeled the main section. Eventually, we're going to say model consists of a main section, which we maybe have or maybe not, and then an array of nav buttons and an array of profile items. But the first thing I'd like to do is have this thing behave properly with this maybe, and with the fact that we're actually have this main record here. This is all pretty easy. So going into here, model is no longer just, this. Instead, model is, well, it's this. So let's use a case statement to make this do the appropriate thing. And here's what I'm thinking. So I'm thinking case model dot main of. Okay, so model dot main is going to be one of two things. We either have a value or we don't. So I'm going to say if it's nothing, then what this function is going to return will be a div that is basically empty. Actually, maybe we'll just say text, nothing here to see. We literally shouldn't see this. We could say loading, because actually this is something that would show when we're loading, when we haven't fetched the data yet. But that's kind of funnier to say nothing here to see. You know what? Let's just say loading. Loading. Then the other option is we've got this thing. So the syntax for that is just. So if I have just of m, I'll go just for m. So any variable name I want, this is matching model.main. I think, can I put in main here? Yeah, I'm not sure if I can. Oh, maybe I can. I think that would be more readable if I did do that. Okay, so now we're evaluating all this stuff, and any place where we see model, actually we can now use, we can use model, but we can also, we can use main now for this. So main.username. Maybe I should call it main. I'm worried about the name not being obvious enough. So in the context of the profile, calling it main, I think I'm going to call it main profile. Then we can go here and we can say main profile, and here, main profile, and let's do the other ones here, here, and here. Okay, compiler's got our back. Now, what's it complaining about? Not sure what it's complaining about. Let's see. I've done a pattern match on my main model, right? And said if it's nothing, then just do this. Otherwise, we're going to return this big bad boy. And we're dereferencing. So why is this complaining? Partway through the case expression, we got stuck here. Oh, I wonder if it's just I hadn't started the line here. Let's just find out. This may just, oh, it is. I don't quite understand it. Now I'm going to do the formatting, the auto formatting for Elm. So Control-Shift-P, format document. Oh, that's funny. I'm not sure that was an error. It might just been a problem with, it just might have been a problem with Visual Studio Code's calling of Elm. It's all good. It seems to be working now. Do we have any errors down here? Oh, yes, we do. So I just saw this red bit here. Not this red bit, this red bit. And it's like, oh, that must be a syntax error. And of course it is. Why is it a syntax error? Well, now we're saying that our model needs to be a record that's got a main section. And what's that main section supposed to be? It's supposed to be something like this. And now, of course, main is a, we said it's a maybe. So it could actually be nothing, or it could be just something. So I need to say just, I think. Oh, and now I need an equal sign here. That looks about right. Let's do format on that. And format always seems to do a better job than I do when it comes to indenting. I like it. So, main, yada, yada, yada. Oh, I got main here and main here. That's just a little confusing. I think it's good enough. We'll leave it. It may be a little confusing, but yeah, I think I'll just leave it for now, because no better word occurs to me than main for the main part of what we're displaying. Okay, let's make sure we haven't broken anything too badly. I'm going to compile this. In fact, before we do that, let's test the new loading one. So in theory, I have two options here when I have this model. So I'm going to comment this one out. I'm going to say main is equal to nothing. Right? So we use that maybe to say maybe I've got something, maybe I don't. So let's just compile that. And I'm expecting to see a loading screen. And I do. Not a very exciting loading screen, but that's the idea. Or we can do this. We can say, oh, actually, we've got some data. Let's compile that. And reload. There, everything's back to normal. Awesome. Okay, so I hope you followed with all that. We've now introduced the concept. Well, most importantly, we're starting to have a more complicated model. We've got this main section, and we're going to have a couple more sections real soon. I think I'll wrap it up here, and we'll do the buttons and the profile in the next little video. Thank you. See you soon.